Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football for my Saturday night live stream. And I tell you what, we got some interesting things to talk about today. Of course, we're going to be talking about Varane. Of course, we're going to be talking about Camavinga. And of course, we're going to be talking about Paul Pogba because they're the three players with the biggest speculation over their future regarding Manchester United. So we'll be talking about the Varane. There's a report coming out that the Varane deal was very, very close to an agreement. And there's going to be a big update next week. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes with Varane to Manchester United. I will report on who said that, what they said and all of that. Camavinga apparently wanting PSG. PSG's Camavinga's priority. Could Manchester United lose out on Camavinga? Could we also be losing Paul Pogba to PSG? Rumours that Paul Pogba would pay up to rumours that PSG would pay up to £60 million for Paul Pogba. And if you're going to lose him for a free next summer, I think United would accept £60 million. James Garner's future, the future of Delo, Daniel James leaving. We'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of the live stream. Pre-season starts next week. We'll talk about the games, the fixtures, who's likely to play. We'll have a little bit of pre-season discussion, but we will save that again a little bit more for next week. Who will be my starting 11 for the England game tomorrow? Towards the end of the live stream, I guess I'll talk a little bit about the England game, Fred in the Copa America tonight, and a little bit of news elsewhere. What have players said? Some random links, Saunaghez to Liverpool. But, we're going to mostly be talking about Varane. What's the latest out on Varane? What's the latest out on Camavinga? And Declan Rice to Manchester United. If Paul Pogba believes, there's a strong chance that United could get Declan Rice in if Paul Pogba believes. So I'm going to talk about everything that's been said, who said it, and all of that. So make sure you hit that like button. And of course, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football for daily Manchester United news update, transfer updates, and more. I do daily content on the channel, and we are 23 subscribers away from 15k. 23 subscribers away. So if England can bring it home and we can hit 15k in the same day, absolutely brilliant. But yeah, in terms of the Varane and Camavinga news, I'm going to now get into what's been said. Then I will address some live comments. I feel like the news is a little bit repetitive. It's been a little bit slow the last couple of days. But I think with the Varane and Camavinga news, I think there's going to be some big updates next week once the Euros is done. Because Varane will return to Real Madrid Monday. The Euros will be done Sunday night, so that's the same Monday. Camavinga's played his first pre-season friendly for Rennes tonight. I think, yes, the news is a little bit repetitive and a little bit slow. There has been a few breakthrough articles, but, it's not from Romano. I think next week's going to be a really big week for Varane to Manchester United because we know we want Varane before pre-season. Pre-season's 8 days away. I think next week's going to be a massive, massive week for Varane to Manchester United. And there's lots of reports saying they're very, very close to a deal. We're waiting for Real Madrid to see what they quote the money is and all of that. But I'm going to get straight into the Varane news. And then please do like, subscribe, comment, share, and do all of that stuff. So, Dear Isaiah, through another source, has said, and look, is Dear Isaiah the most reliable source in the world? Look, I don't really know much about it. I'm not putting it in tier 1. I'll put it in tier 2. But what they say is the Raphael Varane to Manchester United agreement is very close to being reached. So reports coming out of Spain are saying Raphael Varane to Manchester United, an agreement is very, very close to being reached. Varane welcomes the option of going to play in Manchester. He is not getting the project he wants at Real Madrid right now. So what I think that means is, Real Madrid are only willing to offer Varane €8 million a year, whilst United are willing to offer him €12 million a year. Like, he's going to get the wages he wants if he goes to Manchester United. Varane doesn't want to stay at Real Madrid. They say that again. He welcomes the idea of going to Manchester United. And I think, the project he wants, maybe United is a new challenge, different league, new things to win, but also United are willing to offer him £12 million a year compared to Real Madrid, £8 million a year. So, £4 million is quite a significant amount of money. So what they're saying is the Raphael Varane to Manchester United agreement is very, very close to being reached. That's what's coming out of Spain. However, I would take that with a pinch of salt because it's not tier 1 news. So I always say when it's not tier 1 news, take it with a pinch of salt. But look, it wouldn't surprise me if the deal was really, really close. We know personal terms will not be an issue. We know personal terms have been unofficially agreed. We know Varane wants to come to Man United. We know United will pay the wages. And we know that Real Madrid will have to sell him if he tells Real Madrid he's not going to stay. He gets back from his holiday, tomorrow? He sits down with Carlo Ancelotti. He tells Ancelotti he's not going to stay. Real Madrid will have to put him on the market. Man United will make a bid. So, you know what? I believe this deal was probably really, really close. But I would take the story coming out of Spain saying that, an agreement is very, very close to being reached with a pinch of salt, because I don't think an agreement will be reached until Real Madrid give us our price for Varane. And Fabrizio Romano said, all Man United are doing is waiting for Real Madrid to tell them the price for Varane. Personal terms won't be an issue in any of that. And so I would take that story with a pinch of salt. Now, another news story that came out from Spain, again about Raphael Varane, and I think when news stories come out from Spain, remember, it's not coming from United, you know, which I think is a good thing, you know. When news articles come out from foreign countries, because if you think Jan, Christian, Falk, and Romano were the three journalists that were the quickest to get on the Sancho news, confirm it, give us updates, none of them are English. And I think, you know, with English news sources, you always worry, is Man United leaking this? Is that what Man United want us to know? Is it the PR? But because this has come out of Spain once again, from Macrador, now I've probably said that wrong, but by Pablo Power of Macrador, he says that Manchester United are the best placed team to sign Raphael Varane, as we know. United are the favourites. PSG are not in the race. They've got Ramos. Chelsea aren't that interested. Varane, personal terms, unofficially agreed. You know, we are the favourites to sign Raphael Varane. He has confirmed Man United are the best placed team in the race for Raphael Varane. He said for a fee close between 50 to 60 million euros, so around 50 million quid, I'd say. Real Madrid will try and renew Varane's contract, but at the moment he does not want to. So every sort of source is telling us Real Madrid want Varane, they want to renew his contract, they've offered him money, but he said no. Varane does not want to. You know, Real Madrid want to keep him, Varane wants to leave. Every source is telling us Varane wants to leave, and I think people fear it's Varane doing a Ramos and using us for a new contract, and that's completely understandable. But I think, you know what, when every source out of Spain, when every tier one journalist is telling us Varane wants to leave, I think he generally does want to leave. You know, sometimes you know when a player's using you for a contract by the news it comes from. But I think it's very, very clear that Varane does want to leave, and United could get 50 to 60 million euros as saying, you know, United are the best placed team for Raphael Varane. And, you know, Fabrizio Romano said that Manchester United's top priority is centre-back, and Raphael Varane is obviously the top centre-back on the list. Fabrizio Romano also said we want to sign Camavinga, and he's the top priority in that position too. But we will get into that because some articles are saying Camavinga isn't number one priority. But for all of you, the situation with Varane is Varane returns to Real Madrid training Monday. You know, United want Varane, Varane wants United. United will offer Varane the wages he wants, Real Madrid won't. Varane wants a new challenge. Varane, I believe, will tell Real Madrid he wants to leave, or Real Madrid offer him ridiculous wages and he stays. Real Madrid, when they know Varane's definitely going to leave from him, they'll put a price on him of about 50 to 60 million euros. I think United will work on that. And I think, you know, come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to say come Tuesday, Wednesday, I think there'll be some big Varane updates. So, yeah. I think that is sort of the situation regarding Varane. Nick Morris just commented, there's no Donny Varane swap. Yeah, the Donny Varane swap, Fabrizio Romano said there's nothing in it. You know, I don't think Donny van de Beek will be leaving Manchester United this summer. So I want to talk about Camavinga, I want to talk about Rice, and I want to talk about Paul Pogba. But then I will get into a few more comments. But the situation is, now L'Equipe, I think, is a very, very reliable source, says that Manchester United will ask for at least £50 million as a minimum for Paul Pogba this summer, and PSG are not put off by evaluation. So L'Equipe, which I think when it comes to French news, very, very reliable, basically saying, you know, PSG are willing to spend 50 million for Paul Pogba. And as much as I don't want to sell Paul Pogba, you know, if he's going to go for a free next summer, but you could get £50 million, you know, I think United could cash in on Paul Pogba for £50 million. And, you know, we've been told time and time again from Fabrizio Romano that, you know, the Camavinga situation has nothing to do with Paul Pogba. But players like Declan Rice and other midfielders depend on the future of Paul Pogba. You know, the priority is Varane and Camavinga and keep Pogba. But I think if we lose Paul Pogba, the priority becomes Declan Rice. Because, you know, Fabrizio Romano in the past confirmed we have an interest in Declan Rice. Every reliable British source said we have an interest in Declan Rice. And with Paul Pogba leaving, you're thinking, you know, there's a real possibility that Paul Pogba could leave for PSG. You're thinking Declan Rice, because the reason we're not going for Declan Rice this summer is because we don't have the money to buy him. But if you get 50 million for Paul Pogba and you include Jesse Lingard in a swap deal, 50 million plus Jesse Lingard swap deal, West Ham would probably look to give you Declan Rice. I think that is the situation. Now, a source that's come out from a guy called Santi, a Spanish journalist, and now I don't know much about this journalist, but I've looked at this journalist. He's followed by, you know, Fabrizio Romano, Mohamed Bassini. He's followed by a lot of reliable journalists. A French journalist, sorry. So this journalist, who I'm going to put as tier 2 of just stalking their Twitter, but again, I don't know, said that Manchester United's discussions for Edouard Camavinga are progressing, but no offer yet. So this reliable journalist, I'm going to say reliable, he sounds reliable, but I don't know him. I know L'Equipe's quite reliable, but, you know, I don't know how reliable this guy is, but he says Manchester United's discussions for Edouard Camavinga are progressing, but there's no offer yet. He says the player refers PSG to United, which is really, really interesting. It does say that Camavinga refers PSG to United. But at the moment, PSG want Paul Pogba. If the move fails, PSG will advance for Camavinga. So this is the situation. From everything I know, this is what I think the situation regarding Camavinga, Rice and Pogba is. United's number one priority is Camavinga and keeping Paul Pogba. But, you know, PSG want Paul Pogba over Camavinga. But if PSG can't get Paul Pogba, I think PSG will get Camavinga. Okay? But I think if PSG get Paul Pogba, Manchester United could sign Camavinga and potentially Declan Rice as the Paul Pogba replacement. You know, I know it's unlikely that we'd get both Camavinga and Declan Rice, but, you know, I don't think PSG will get both Pogba and Camavinga, and I have a feeling, you know, if Pogba does stay, it will be harder to obtain Camavinga and maybe Declan Rice as the player, because there's a lot of news articles coming out today. The Manchester Evening News, Samuel Luck, I said that actually we like Camavinga, but he's not actually our first choice midfield target. Our first choice midfield target is Declan Rice, and what we know about Declan Rice is, you know, United will only sign Declan Rice if they get rid of Paul Pogba. You know, Camavinga has nothing to do with the future of Paul Pogba. It's a £30 million deal max. United's number one midfield priority, according to these English journalists, is actually Declan Rice, not Camavinga. So does that hint that, you know, if you miss out on Camavinga, he goes to PSG? Are they going to try and say we're never in for him because we lost the race to PSG? I don't know. But, you know, a lot of English journalists are saying Declan Rice is number one priority. And the thing that worries me about that is Fabrizio Romano said 2 days ago, he said a week ago, he said literally the other day that Camavinga is our number one midfield target. And, you know, if I'm going to believe British journalists saying Rice is the number one midfield target, or if I'm going to believe Fabrizio Romano, I'm going to believe Fabrizio Romano, and believe that Camavinga is our first choice target. And I honestly think it's, we lose Pogba, we go for Declan Rice, or we go in for Camavinga. But I think Camavinga is 10 times more realistic than Declan Rice, because we know that Camavinga will leave Rennes this summer. Camavinga will 100% leave Rennes this summer, whereas West Ham will want to keep hold of Declan Rice. So, yeah, maybe Declan Rice is our first choice target, but we've realised that we can get Camavinga for a third of the price of Declan Rice, and we can get him this summer. You know, Declan Rice is going to be hard to obtain this summer, but that is some news story coming in. Any questions for me, please do pop them down below in the live chat. Of course, subscribe to the channel and all of that. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers, by the way, guys. We're 20 subs away from 15,000 subscribers. So please do subscribe to the channel if you're new for daily United content. The latest on Raphael Varane is apparently, according to reports, in Spain, we're closing in on an agreement. We're very, very close to an agreement with Raphael Varane, but I would take that news with a pinch of salt. I'd wait till Fabrizio Romano confirms something, because Fabrizio Romano said yesterday there's nothing advanced with Raphael Varane and Manchester United yet. Man United is still waiting for Real Madrid's valuation of him, which I think makes sense. I honestly think, for all of you guys watching, the situation with Varane is, yes, it's been quiet the last week, but I think there's going to be a big Varane update next week. I get the impression there's going to be a big Varane update next week, because Varane will return to Real Madrid training Monday. Varane will sit down with Ancelotti, say he wants to leave. And then, you know, once Ancelotti knows from Varane himself he wants to leave, and I don't think he's using us. Every source is indicating Varane does want to leave. Every Spanish source, every reliable source is indicating Varane wants to leave. You know, we're willing to offer Varane 12 million euros a year compared to Real Madrid's 8 million euros a year. Of course, you know, he'd want to come to us. Personal terms unofficially agreed, not an issue. I think the situation with Varane is he goes to Ancelotti, he confirms he wants to leave, and once Real Madrid know from Varane himself that he's not going to renew his contract, that he's definitely not going to stay at Real Madrid, they'll put a 50, 60 million euro price tag on him, which I think Manchester United will go in and pay the money for. There's obviously the small chance that Varane goes to Real Madrid, they offer him ridiculous wages and he stays, but I think it's 75% Varane leaves, and Man United are leading the race for Varane. I think unless Chelsea swoop in last minute and offer Varane ridiculous money, I think we will get Varane. I think there's 75% we do get Varane, but obviously there's a small 25% that Real Madrid just offer Varane ridiculous wages, which I don't think Real Madrid can afford to do, because remember, Real Madrid are desperately going for Kylian Mbappe. Very, very reliable sources said Real Madrid want Kylian Mbappe, and you know what? If Real Madrid get £50 million for Raphael Varane, that can go towards Kylian Mbappe, who has 1 year left on his deal. So, you know, as much as Real Madrid do want to keep Varane, you've got to remember Real Madrid want Kylian Mbappe. And they might be like, you know, we get Varane off our wage bill, we're going to get 50 million from United for Varane. He wants to go to United. There's no point forcing the player to stay on ridiculous wages when we want to get Mbappe in. You know, Varane is aging as well. You know, we've got rid of Amos. It's a new era. So I actually am 75% on Varane to Manchester United, because I know Real Madrid are really, really hoping to get Kylian Mbappe. And obviously the situation on Camavinga is Camavinga wants PSG, but PSG want Pogba. So if Pogba goes to PSG, I think we'll win the race for Camavinga. But I do worry that we might lose the race for Camavinga, because have you seen how ruthless PSG have been in the transfer market? Donnarumma, Gini Wijnaldum, Hakimi, just to name a few, Ramos. I do worry that PSG could beat us to Camavinga. So I'm 50-50 on Camavinga to Manchester United. I think a lot of it depends on the future of Paul Pogba. Even though Romano said it doesn't, I think, you know, even if we keep Paul Pogba, we're still going to go for Camavinga, which is what Fabrizio Romano is saying. But I think if PSG get Paul Pogba, there won't be so much in for Camavinga. That's what I mean by that. So I'm 50-50 on Camavinga to Manchester United, but I am 75% on Raphael Varane to Manchester United and stuff. Someone says he's put a £20 bet on Varane staying at Real Madrid. You know what? If I had to put money on Varane staying at Real Madrid or going to Manchester United, I would generally put money on Varane going to Manchester United. Now, I'm quite an optimistic fan. I'm quite a positive fan. I like to see the positive in every news story, but I always try and put some realism on it. Obviously, there's a chance, you know, Varane could be using us for a big new wage bill, but I would generally put money on Varane to join Man United rather than stay at Real Madrid. Real Madrid are giving Varane a pay cut to stay. Yeah, Real Madrid are trying to get Varane to stay, but they won't. They're giving him a pay cut. We're willing to offer Varane more wages. We're willing to offer Varane 4 million euros a year more than Real Madrid are. You know, Real Madrid has said to Varane, we'll give you 8 million euros a year. Man United has said to Varane, you know what, we'll give you 12 million euros a year. 4 million euros is a big difference. You know, I mean, I would take 40 quid more a year, let alone 4 million euros. So you know what it is. You know what it is. Nothing in the Donny to Varane swap deals and all of that. There was a comment I just saw, but I missed it. So it's coming home. Yeah, we will be talking about that. Man United, same old crap every year. It's Man United we're talking about. Now, this is the situation, you know. United in the transfer window, so slow, so repetitive, all of that. But as I said, I think we're going on pre-season. We apparently want to get Varane done before pre-season. Varane returns to Real Madrid training Monday, I believe. I think there's going to be some big updates in the Varane news next week. I think there could be a breakthrough in the Varane story. You know how Fabrizio Romano said, you know, Sancho's a matter of weeks, not days. And then 2 weeks after Fabrizio Romano said that, you know, something big happened with Sancho to United. Obviously, we signed him and all of that. I think the situation with Varane is, you know, Fabrizio Romano said a couple of weeks ago, you know, Man United want Varane, but this deal's not going to happen in the next few days. Give it a couple of weeks. You know, it will be a couple of weeks come next week. So I believe it's going to be a big breakthrough from Varane to Manchester United next week, if you want my honest opinion, and all of that. Mr. Randomizer says, if we do get Varane deal done, will our money be gone from buying anyone else, or can we buy 1 or 2 more players because how much budget you can actually spend off market? This is the thing. So if we sign Raphael Varane, and I'm going to stay positive, I have a feeling we will sign Raphael Varane. You know, you've got to remember that if we sell Paul Pogba, there'll be Raphael Varane, and I think another decent signing. Maybe, you know, it is the Glazers, so you never know. We'll probably never replace Paul Pogba. Now, the situation is we want Varane and Camavinga. So, look, I think it is. Sancho's done. We go all out for Varane. Once we get the Varane deal done, it's Camavinga that we want. But if we can't get Camavinga and Paul Pogba stays, I think it will be Trippier or a backup right back. Do you know what I mean? You know, I think Camavinga's the only midfielder we will sign if Paul Pogba stays. If Paul Pogba leaves, then I think, you know, that's Declan Rice, possibly, and some bigger transfers. But all the midfielders depend on the future of Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek. I believe Donny van de Beek's going to stay. If Paul Pogba stays, the only midfielder that will go for if Paul Pogba stays is Edouard Camavinga, because although the English journalists are saying Declan Rice is our number 1 priority, and I'm sure if Pogba leaves, Declan Rice is our number 1 priority, you know, it will be Camavinga will be the only midfielder we would get if Paul Pogba stay, because he is our priority. He has to leave Rennes this summer. He will leave Rennes this summer with Camavinga. And, you know, he's going to be £30 million max. So very, very affordable if I was to make an assumption there and all that. Please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football. We are 20 subscribers away from 15k subscribers, 20 subs away. So I do daily Manchester United live streams on the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, please do subscribe to the channel. Pre-season reviews and match reactions coming up in the next week. So for all the latest on Varane, if Man United sign Varane, there'll be a live stream to tell you. If you know Man United put in a bid for Varane that's going to be accepted, there'll be a live stream to tell you. If any big transfer news happens, there'll be a live stream to tell you. I'll be filling you in with all the stories throughout the transfer window. So please do subscribe. 20 subscribers till I hit 15,000 subscribers. So every sub would mean a lot. Chelsea are looking at all our targets. We do have to be wary of Chelsea, okay? Chelsea haven't done anything in the transfer window yet. And we know that Chelsea obviously want Erling Haaland, but you've got to think, you know, they lost to Kimi. They might not get Erling Haaland because we got Sancho. You know, there's always the chance that Chelsea could swoop in for Varane. Chelsea are in for Camavinga. Chelsea are in for Rice. So I think we have to watch out for Chelsea. Yuxify says, if Pogba leaves, we need a midfielder. What do you consider a replacement if Oli doesn't use Donny? This is the thing. Like, if you're thinking of Paul Pogba replacements, I guess you go Milinkovic-Savic, Saul Niguez, Verratti. You want like a top caliber midfielder. But if I was going to replace Paul Pogba, I would generally just replace him with Wilfred Ndidi, which sounds stupid because Wilfred Ndidi is so defensive. But I always go, McTominay plays his best football as a box-to-box. Fred is playing brilliantly for Brazil next to Casemiro as a box-to-box. Donny and Matic, when Donny played the box-to-box, was fantastic. I would replace Paul Pogba with a CDM. You could say, oh, replace him with Grealish because Grealish can play left and a 10. But, you know, Sancho can play on the left, Rashford can play on the left, Martial can play on the left, Dan James can play on the left. You know, Bruno can play as a 10. I would replace Paul Pogba with a CDM, personally, because I just think Matic is our only CDM. He doesn't have the legs. We've got 3 players that can play as box-to-box. Donny, McTominay and Fred are actually box-to-box, and I think if you put them next to a good DM, you get the best out of all 3 of them. That's what I would do to replace Paul Pogba. I think Camavinga is the player we want, but if Paul Pogba goes, Declan Rice is number 1 priority, and I'm not going to argue with that at all. I think really to replace Paul Pogba, you'd want Declan Rice and Jack Grealish, but I know 2 English players, 2 overpriced players, you know, financially impossible. One day Pogba will evolve into Drogba or maybe Nsogbia if we're lucky. That would be mad. PSG are getting rid of Herrera, Sarabia and Paredes to bring Pogba in apparently. So Herrera's going. I'll take Herrera back, honestly. I really liked Herrera. The thing is, you know what? We never replaced Herrera. You know, who replaced Herrera? No one. Because we lost Herrera 2 summers ago. We didn't sign a central midfielder last summer. Donny is not a Herrera replacement. You know, we never replaced Fellaini. We never replaced Herrera. And we've got a Matic way past his best, you know. That always reminds me. And the biggest fear is, my biggest fear isn't losing Paul Pogba. My biggest fear is, you know, because of the board, we have the people in charge of transfers. Yes, Murta seems to be doing a good job. My biggest fear is United won't replace Paul Pogba properly. You know, we never replaced Herrera. I know Fellaini was just one of those players that, you know, probably didn't need to be replaced. But I always do worry with Manchester United, you know, if we do sell Paul Pogba and we get 50, 60 million euros for him, I believe that's just going to go in the Glazers' pockets. And that is a big fear of mine personally. Vamos Argentina, says Man U's World. Well, the Copa America is tonight, 1 a.m. UK time. Not sure if anyone's going to watch it. I might stay up and watch it, to be fair. It's the Copa America final. Fred, you know, I'm rooting for Brazil, actually, to win the Copa America for the pure sense that Fred is playing. You know, this is me. When it comes to international games, if England aren't playing, I will just support the team with the most Man United players on because, like, I support England, but my support for Man United is higher than my support for any other team. You know, I support England, but I support Man United like 10 times more than I support England. So, you know, if England is not playing and I watch an international game, I always support the team with the most Man United players on. I don't know how you guys are like with that. Any questions for me, please do put them down below in the live chat. Someone's asked me, will Manchester United get a new number 9? Danny Ings rumour. I can tell you this now. I am not, you know, Fabrizio Romano. I'm not the most knowledgeable person in the world, but I believe Manchester United won't sign a number 9. I believe Danny Ings rumour is just speculation. Because what we know from Fabrizio Romano and a lot of journalists is Cavani signing that new 1-year deal meant Manchester United were not in for a striker. We got linked to Erling Haaland a lot, January, February, March kind of time. As soon as Cavani signed that new 1-year deal at Manchester United, those Haaland rumours stopped. We've already signed an attacker in JADON Sancho. The priority should be DM and centre-back and right-back ahead of striker because Cavani's here for another year. You've got Cavani, you've got Greenwood, you've got Martial that can play striker. I believe Martial's staying. And if worst comes to worst, you've got Rashford that can play striker. You can even play Bruno as a false 9. I believe United will not sign a striker this summer. I think next summer we will be in for a striker because Cavani will be out of contract. But no, I don't think there's anything in Man United signing a striker. I think as soon as Cavani signed that 1-year deal, I think it was pretty clear we were not going to sign a striker. We've got Sancho, that's our attacker done. We are focusing purely on DM and centre-back. You know, it is the 3 positions United do want to fill next, and we know that it's centre-backs next after Sancho, then it's a midfielder, then it's a right-back. So, yeah, I don't think we will be signing a striker. 90% club. I agree, we are the 90% club. Pogba must leave is not relevant anymore. He's a joke. I just think the thing with Paul Pogba is if he really wants to leave, just let him leave. But I don't want him to leave. But like I'm fed up with Paul Pogba news. Please do hit that like button on the road to 100 likes. Can we hit 100 likes this stream? So please do hit that like button, everybody. And of course, if you're new, subscribe to Alice Talks Football. We're now 15 subscribers away from 15k. That sounds nice to say. 15 subscribers till I hit 15k. Subs. So that's amazing. 15 subscribers away from 15,000 subs. So yeah. Talks are progressing for Camavinga, but no bid yet. And what are they actually talking about? That he needs a haircut. Honestly, it's United, you know. I bet Manchester United, when they sit there and talks, must take an hour to say one word. They must be like, so Camavinga's French, right? Yeah, he's French. He's 18, right? Yeah. You know, you want euros or pounds. I generally feel, because United is in talks for players for so long, I generally feel like they sit there and they go, euros or pounds? What colour kit would you rather wear? I feel like they have a questionnaire. They go to Camavinga. Do you prefer the home kit or the away kit? Or they go to Rennes. They go, you know, what plane would Camavinga like? I honestly, yeah, I get what you mean. We are very, very slow. We're very, very slow. You know, the latest on Camavinga for all of you that's just joined the live chat is coming from a journalist called Santi, who said that Manchester United are discussing Edouard Camavinga. The conversations for Edouard Camavinga are progressing, but we have not made an offer yet. But they do say that Camavinga would prefer PSG to Manchester United, but PSG want Paul Pogba, not Camavinga. So if PSG can't get Paul Pogba, they will go for Camavinga. And as much as I'd like Camavinga and Paul Pogba in the pivot next season for United, more and more indication is you keep Paul Pogba, you don't get Camavinga. Not because you know, obviously we know from Fabrizio Romano, like even if we keep Paul Pogba, we're going to go for Camavinga. You know, the Camavinga deal has nothing to do with Paul Pogba, but I think PSG is the situation. PSG will want one of Camavinga and Paul Pogba this summer, and I have a feeling we can't get one or the other. You know, as much as I think Paul Pogba is saying Camavinga is the ideal way, I don't think we can get one or the other. We've already beaten PSG to Varane. You know, PSG pulled out the Varane race because Varane made it clear that he wanted United to them, apparently, allegedly. You know, they've gone for Ramos. You know, PSG are having one hell of a transfer window. They're getting their business done quick. They're getting their business done efficiently. I do worry that, you know, Paul Pogba goes, cool, we can get Camavinga. But I think, you know, if we keep Paul Pogba, I think PSG will win the race for Camavinga. But we are leading the race for Varane. And as I said earlier, reports coming out from Spain saying that Manchester United Varane is very, very close to reaching an agreement. Manchester United want Varane. Varane wants United. Varane likes the idea of the project Man United are offering. And we do know that Man United apparently are willing to offer Varane 12 million a year in wages compared to Real Madrid's 8 million a year, which is 4 million euros a year more. So why wouldn't Varane want to leave? We know personal terms won't be an issue. United will pay the wages Varane wants to leave. I think what United are doing, United are sitting there, and as I've said time and time again, as Fabrizio Romano said, you know, nothing is advanced right now between Manchester United and Varane, Manchester United and Real Madrid for Varane, because Man United are waiting for Real Madrid's price tag on Varane. And as I said time and time again, Varane gets back from his holiday, in 2 days' time? He'll sit down with Real Madrid. He'll tell them clearly to their face that he wants to leave. Real Madrid will slap a price tag on Varane. They'll want to sell Varane because they'll want money for Kylian Mbappe. They want to get Varane off his wage bills. United come in, deal could be done. I think there's going to be a big, big update on Varane to Manchester United next week when Varane gets back from his holiday and all of that. And we know Real Madrid are desperate for Mbappe as well. You know, there's a chance that Real Madrid do offer Varane ridiculous wages and he stays. But I think for a club that desperately wants Kylian Mbappe, getting 50 million for Varane and getting off your wage bill could really help Real Madrid, who desperately want to get Kylian Mbappe. And if Varane really wants to come to Manchester United, what every reliable journalist is saying, I think, you know, United better go in for Varane and all of that. But please do hit that like button, guys. Subscribe down below, share this video, and any questions for me, pop them down below in the live chat. Daniela Stewart says, what makes you think West Ham would be interested in 50 million plus Lingard swap deal? Probably be 60 million, to be honest. When we have constant been saying that West Ham want 90 million for Rice and Lingard's a 20 million player. Well, Lingard, I think it would be Lingard plus 60 million. I think it would be Lingard plus 60 million, to be fair, if we were going to get Declan Rice, which is a massive overpayment. And I think, you know, although it's been reported that Declan Rice is #1 priority, and maybe we'd rather have Declan Rice than Camavinga. Maybe Ollie would rather have Declan Rice than Camavinga, but I think Ollie's made Camavinga his #1 priority because he knows Camavinga will be sold this summer and we can get him for £30 million. You know, the only way Declan Rice leaves West Ham is £90 million. If you put Lingard in that's £60 million. So maybe there's a reason why Camavinga is #1 priority, I always think. If we miss out on Camavinga to PSG, we'll be in trouble because then they will sign Pogba on a free next season. It's now or never. Very, very solid point. You know, this is the thing, you know, I think if you get Varane and Camavinga and we keep Paul Pogba, I think Paul Pogba could sign a new deal and we wouldn't lose him on a free. The question is with PSG, they want either one of Pogba or Camavinga. Look, I think Paul Pogba, I have a feeling that Paul Pogba could leave this summer. You know, if you know, the quips say that, you know, PSG would pay up to £60 million for Paul Pogba. Would I want to go to the French league? No, but he is French. It probably means a bit more to him than it does to us. I have a feeling Paul Pogba could leave this summer, which I don't want him to. But I think if he does stay, I think him signing a new contract just comes down to, you know, let's say we sign Sancho, we sign Varane, we sign Camavinga, we're having a good window. Cool, he might sign a new deal. But if this time next year we're losing Europa League finals and we're not even in a title race, you know, come end of season, I think then he would leave on a free. I think Paul Pogba leaving on a free, if he stays, really depends on how good we look come the season. Karen Fernandez says, Alice talks facts. Thanks, Karen, for the support and all of that. This guy says, has Rice shown anything out of the ordinary? He seems like a slightly better McTominay. I think the one thing that Rice offers is, yes, he offers nothing going forward, but I think because Rice is quite good at holding, it would just free up McTominay, Pogba, Donny, whoever he plays with. You know, he's a bit of a Matic replacement. You know, he does a job that maybe he doesn't get credit for, if you want my honest opinion. I'm just going to take a quick sip of water. Someone's asked on my England versus Italy and Argentina versus Brazil predictions. I think Italy, because England have the home advantage, I'm going 2-1 win England. And Maguire header to win it. Maguire header to win the Euros for England. 2-1 England because of home advantage. And I think Brazil are going to beat Argentina 2-0. That's my predictions and all of that. How much do you think Man United can get from selling Pogba? More than 20 million, knowing he has 1 year left. I think we can get about 50 million for Paul Pogba. I think that's what's been reported. Starlord says that Camavinga isn't ready for the Premier League. That's an interesting debate we could maybe have at some point on the channel. Is Camavinga ready for the Premier League? You know, he has been playing week in, week out in League 1, but obviously it's a much more easy league. And Mr. Randomizer said, should we go after Eder Militao in the near future? I mean, look, you know, Varane and Ramos are going. We couldn't get Militao anytime soon, but definitely an option out there. Definitely an option out there. Please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers, by the way, guys. And I am 10 subscribers now. 10 subscribers away from 15K. So if you're a Man United fan and you want to tune into daily Manchester United live streams, you want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United transfer news, discussing United. We have guests on the channel. We do match reactions, match previews, watch-alongs, United content. You know, I am 10 subscribers away from 15K. And if you want to help me hit 15K and that sounds like a channel you might like, please do subscribe. I'm going to be plugging the channel a lot until we hit 15K. So not far to go, but very, very close to 15,000 subscribers and all that. I'm just going to scroll down, but any questions for me, plop them down below in the live chat and all of that. Star Wars says, Ollie only wants Camavinga to be on a bench. Mark my words. That is my big fear about Camavinga. You know, if Donny can't get game time over McFred, could Camavinga get game time over McFred? I'd rather Camavinga and Donny play over McFred. But you know, all he loves is McFred. So very, very solid point there from Starlord. I always fear, you know, for me, I feel like Rice probably is Ollie's #1 target, like Samuel Luckhurst sets. But Ollie's like, well, I'm not going to get Rice this summer because West Ham won't sell him unless we pay 90 million. We just spent 80 million on Sancho. We ain't spending 90 million on Rice. So Ollie's like, you know what? Camavinga's now my first choice midfield target because that midfielder, cheap, and he's going to go this summer, so I can probably get him. But Rice is maybe really Ollie's first choice target, but he's going realistic for the cheaper option in Camavinga. I think if you sign Declan Rice, he starts. But if you sign Camavinga, you know, if Donny van der Beek can't start, will Camavinga start? That is true. And that's my worry, you know. I think, you know, we can, if we don't get Raphael Varane, yeah, we signed Jules Koundé or Pau Torres, and I think Pau Torres is better than Lindelof. I think Jules Koundé is better than Lindelof. I think Jules Koundé is a lot better than Lindelof. I really like Jules Koundé. But with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I worry, you know, if we don't get Varane, let's say we get Koundé, it's Maguire and Lindelof next season. If we get Koundé and Camavinga, it could still be Maguire, Lindelof and McFred for some reason because Ollie's quite a safe manager, you know. He has his players that he trusts. And I think it's really important that we do get Varane because, you know, once you play Maguire and Varane, you won't have McFred ahead. And I think if we get Varane, and I think Varane is 75% Man United, I think if we get Varane, Camavinga's more likely to start in the pivot because Maguire and Bailly, they don't have McFred in front of them. Maguire and Tuanzebe, they don't have McFred in front of them. McFred plays to protect Maguire and Lindelof because if you look at all the games McFred play, 90% of them is Maguire and Lindelof at the back, you know, protecting Maguire and Lindelof. So I think if you get Varane, I think there's more of a chance that Camavinga would play over McFred in the pivot. You know, it could be Camavinga and Fred, it could be Camavinga and McTominay, but I think Camavinga and even Donny van der Beek is more likely to get game time if you get Varane in because I think Varane offers that pace so you don't need McFred at the back. I think McFred is literally there. But I think Ollie plays McFred just to protect the defence because Lindelof and Maguire don't work, if you want my honest opinion on that. But yeah, let's get Alice to 15,000 subscribers. So yeah, of course, if you're new, guys, please do subscribe. I'm going to refresh my subscribers. How close are we to 15K? We're 6 subscribers away. 6 subscribers to go. So we hit 15,000 subscribers, 6 subs to go. So please do subscribe and all of that. Cavani or Martial to start. Honestly, I think it depends on form. I think, you know, right now, obviously, if you go off last season, Cavani would start over Martial. But, you know, you've got to remember, you know, yes, Martial was poor last season, but he got the 1920 season. Martial got 17 non-penalty goals in the Premier League when he played most of those games with Andreas Pereira and Lingard behind him, who were very, very out of form. And he had 2 months out injured, and he still got 17 non-penalty goals, which only Danny Ings got more in the 1920 season. You know, he got over 30 goal contributions that season. I think Anthony Martial, yes, he was poor last season, but the season before he was absolutely fantastic. And I think Martial's going to refine form this season. And I think, yeah, maybe Cavani could be the in-favour striker at first. But Cavani's going to get an injury. You know, Cavani can't play every game. I think a lot of people don't realise this. Cavani can't play every game because of his age. You know, maybe Greenwood comes in because we've got Sancho, so we don't need Greenwood on the right. But I think Martial will stay at Man United. I think he will get some game time. And I think, you know, come end of the season, I'm going to predict that Martial will be starting over Cavani. As good as Cavani is, I think if Martial finds form, I think he links up. This is an unpopular opinion, but I think if Martial finds form, he has that really good connection with Rashford, Sancho. Well, not obviously Sancho yet, but he could. Greenwood. I think if Martial finds form, I think we could see him play a lot more towards the end of the season. But I think Martial starting, I think it really depends on form and all of that. If you want my honest opinion, must get Varane. I mean, yeah, we must get Varane. I agree. We don't want to see Lindelof at the back. You know, Manchester United came second last season. Man United came second. Second's brilliant, but you need to improve on second. And the only way you can improve on second is if you get first. And I can sit here and I can say there's a lot of players in this Manchester United team that aren't good enough to win a Premier League title. Fred and McTominay as a duo in the pivot, not good enough. Maybe, you know what, if you get Declan Rice and McTominay plays as a box-to-box, maybe McTominay is good enough because McTominay's best games come as a box-to-box. You know, Fred, when he plays next to Casemiro, looks brilliant. You know, maybe Fred and McTominay are good enough as box-to-box players, but not together. Like, they play with a DM and a box-to-box, just not together. You know, Fred and McTominay probably aren't good enough to win your Premier League title. They're probably bench quality, let's be realistic. Lindelof is not good enough to win a Premier League title. Fred is the pairing you will not win a Premier League title with. However, we came second, we want to come first. Okay, Lindelof's not good enough to win a Premier League title. Boom, Varane. Let's get Varane. Varane, very, very close, you know, agreement close to being reached. Apparently, you know, probably a big update on Varane to Manchester United in the next week. I think we'll have an opportunity to sign Varane next week. You know, Real Madrid do want Mbappe, so unless they offer Varane ridiculous wages, I think they will let him go. Cool, let's get Varane. Boom. But then we have to address the McFred issue. I think with Varane, Ollie's less likely to play McFred because McFred is literally Lindelof protection. But I think if you want to turn second into first, it's Varane and no McFred is the CDM. And I think that we need to progress massively next season. So I think getting Varane is so important for that sense. Because I think if you get Varane, you won't play McFred in front of Varane and Maguire. But also if you get Varane, it's a replacement for Lindelof. So I think we could push from second to first. But I don't want to be too ambitious. Pep can transform an average team into the best. Wonder what Ollie's going to do next season. You know, I think next season's a big season for Ollie. I think, you know, he's got Sancho. Let's hope. I think he's going to get Varane. We don't know if he's going to get Varane, but I think he's going to get Varane. I think it's really, really important that Ollie wins a trophy next season. I think if Ollie does not win a trophy, the pressure will be on. You know, honestly, I think that Ollie has to win a trophy next season. I honestly do. Apparently Messi's staying at La Liga, staying at Barcelona. I'm not sure, to be fair. This guy says, personally, not the biggest fan of Declan Rice. Yeah, he'll be better alternative to McFred, but when I watch him play, I don't see the hype. He just seems average. He's a young English player. Of course, he's overpriced. Look, we do need a player like Declan Rice, but there's definitely better DMs out there. I think in terms of value for money, Declan Rice isn't the best, but he's an improvement. You know, we need a Matic replacement. I would take on Didi. Look, Declan Rice, Premier League proven young, but yeah, in terms of value for money, 100%. For all of you that's just joined the live stream, the latest on Varane to Manchester United, there's reports coming out in Spain saying that Raphael Varane to Manchester United agreement is very, very close to being reached. However, I would take that with a pinch of salt because it's come from Dia Rosea. They say that Varane obviously wants to come to United. We already know that. If we go off what Fabrizio Romano says about Raphael Varane to Manchester United, personal terms are not an issue. Man United will pay Varane the wages he wants. Varane wants to leave Real Madrid. Fabrizio Romano says nothing is advanced yet between Manchester United and Varane because Real Madrid are waiting for Varane to give him an answer. Varane's on holiday, so he's not going to give them an answer until next week. I think that's the situation is next week. You know, Varane will give Real Madrid an answer. I think Varane's answer to Real Madrid will be he wants to leave because every indication from Spain, reliable journalists, is Varane wants to leave. And I think, you know, come next week, the Varane situation will be advanced, by the way. You know, Real Madrid do want Mbappe. They're going to go for Mbappe in August. So, you know, they might want to cash in on Varane. They don't want to risk losing him on a free. He wants to come to United. United want him. I think, you know, there's going to be a big Varane update next week, but nothing really reliable to come off. It's a little bit of repetitive news on Varane, but just because the Varane story's gone quiet or Fabrizio Romano hasn't tweeted anything major, do not sleep on the Varane story because, you know, the Sancho story went quiet for a week. You know, we had 2 weeks of repetitive Sancho news. We made a bid, we signed him. So I think that's the situation with Varane. I think I'm 75-25 on Varane to come and all of that. And the latest on Camavinga is that, you know, Camavinga would rather PSG than Man United, but PSG want Paul Pogba over Camavinga. And Manchester United are in discussions for Edouard Camavinga. They are in contract, but again, that's nothing really ridiculously new. We're in talks to Camavinga. We want him again. Personal terms won't be an issue with Camavinga. Personal terms won't be an issue with Varane, but we just have to see where it progresses. That's sort of the latest on those players. Okay, we're very, very close to 15,000 subscribers, by the way, guys. We're 1 subscriber away from 15K. I'm 1 subscriber away from 15K, so please do subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. It doesn't make sense to bring players on and sit them on the bench. I agree. I think maybe a bench signing like Trippier as competition. I get competition signing scale on the bench like Telles and Trippier, but I wouldn't want to sign a player just to go on the bench. I want to sign a player because he's going to challenge a starter. You know what I mean? And all of that. Cavani should start every game if he's fit to do so. I think so, but I think it depends on the game. You've got to remember how good Martial was versus Man City. I'd actually start Martial over Cavani in games where we're going to sit back and counter because Martial has that pace. My chair is really, really squeaky. It's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying me. Guys, we have just hit 15,000 subscribers. We've just hit 15k subscribers. Let's go. So thanks everybody for subscribing. Yeah, we've just hit 15k. My thing just updated now. So 15,000 subscribers. Big up everyone that subscribed to the channel and all of that. And 102 likes. So awesome. Man United need 3 more players. I agree. If I could bring 3 players to Man United, I'd bring a Didi, I'd bring Varane, and I'd bring Camavinga. Personally. But, you know, that's not going to happen. Mr. Randomizer says, would you sign a Spinazzola after being a fantastic left back at the Euros to be back up for sure instead of Williams and Telles? Well, I mean, look, if it was last season, yeah, but we've got Telles now. So, you know, Telles is our backup for Luke Shaw. We don't need that backup, but he has looked very, very good. Varane is most crucial in this window. I agree, because if you play Varane, we're less likely to play him at Fred. Yes, we need a new CDM. Yes, CDM's priority position, but as we know, Fred and Pogba are better than McFred. McTominay and Pogba are better than McFred. McTominay and Donny van de Beek probably better than McFred. And, you know, we only play McFred when Lindelof plays, if you look at it as well. So I always see that's an added bonus of Varane coming in. Someone says you were going to pay 100 million for him. I don't think United will get Declan Rice unless Paul Pogba leaves. I think the only way Man United get Declan Rice is if Paul Pogba leaves. You know, rumours is that Declan Rice is #1 priority, but West Ham won't want to sell Declan Rice. You know, West Ham really don't want to sell Declan Rice. So I don't think United will get Declan Rice unless Paul Pogba leaves. Any questions for me, guys, please do put them down below in the live chat. I'm just going to take a quick drink of water, but if you have any questions for me regarding news, anything you want me to talk about, pop it in the live chat. I will be reading out some live chats. Oh, mouth hurts. I've been talking a bit fast. I'm just going to read out a few live chats, so put them down below. You need a CDM, says Undertaker CFC. Yep. You know, I think everyone knows we need a CDM. Let's just hope fucking the board do. I think like it's funny because I get Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans telling me United need a CDM. Like, it's just common knowledge that we need a CDM. It's not like it's not that it's just United fans saying we need a CDM. Anyone that watches Man United play knows we need a CDM. Chelsea fans say it, Arsenal fans say it. It's absolutely mad. Someone said Scott and Fred are good in big games. Scott and Fred are good at keeping clean sheets in big games, but I don't think they're good in big games. Personally, myself. And all of that. Hello, I'm from Arsenal. Hello. How does it feel as an Arsenal fan? You know, Ben White's going to be £48 million for 6 million add-ons. £54 million for Ben White. How do Arsenal fans feel about that? I think that's a lot of money. I look so different from last year. Do I? Probably do a little bit. My hair's a little bit different, although it's looking awful today. I need to get my hair done. But yeah, congratulations on 15k. Would you sell Pogba and play Donny in his place? Well, my only logic for signing Donny van de Beek, considering the fact that we haven't played him, is that we expected Paul Pogba to leave this summer, and we knew that, you know, Donny van de Beek was going to leave Ajax last summer, so we had to sign Donny van de Beek last summer instead of this summer, and that he is a Pogba replacement in the box-to-box role. But I think, you know, we've seen Donny and Matic was really good. I said it before, Donny and Matic were better than McFred, the way we played. And I think, you know what, if Paul Pogba leaves, you have to get a CDM, and I think it would be Donny in the box-to-box role. Because I think we always talk about Declan Rice, CDM, Pogba box-to-box, Bruno Cam, 4-3-3. I think if Donny leaves, then... Sorry, if Pogba leaves, then yeah. And the rumour is, you know, if Pogba leaves, Declan Rice is #1 priority, which would make sense. Declan Rice, Donny van de Beek, Bruno Fernandes. I think that's a good midfield. So, yeah, personally, yeah. Who's the first player that makes you love Man United? I mean, growing up, I watched a lot of Ronaldo. You know, I watched, because I'm born in 2000, so I watched the Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez. You know, I remember us winning the Champions League. That's some of my earliest United memories. Like, I do actually remember watching that Champions League final. I remember watching the penalty shootout. I think Ronaldo was the player that made me fall in love with United because, you know, when Ronaldo, I started supporting Man United when I was 3 or 4 years old, very, very young. So Ronaldo was new. And, you know, when Ronaldo left, I was 9 years old. So he was like the childhood player, you know, that I watched, and he was Ronaldo. So, you know, Ronaldo and Rooney were probably my 2 favourite players watching United growing up. I also really liked Ji-Sung Park, actually. I don't know why, I just remember really liking Ji-Sung Park as well. So, yeah, they're some of my favourite players. United looking at Italian right back now, Di Lorenzo. Possibly. I haven't heard any of that news, Nick Morris, but I will look into that, actually, for maybe tomorrow or Monday's live stream. But I know we are interested in getting a right back, so I will look into that. Low-key, the Varane deal would be more impressive than Sancho. Yeah, I agree. Look, I think Sancho's a bigger signing than Varane. It's bigger noise, it's bigger shirt sales. I think that's why it was priority, because shirt sales, bigger noise, bigger response, so Glazers win fans back. But I think Varane would almost have more impact on Man United than Sancho. You know, Sancho's a fantastic signing, but like, as I've said this before, if you watched Man United last season, our problem was not scoring goals. Yes, we didn't have an out-and-out right winger, but our problem was midfield getting overrun and the defence pairing of Maguire and Lindelof was not good enough. That was our problem last season. It was not scoring goals, you know. And we got Sancho, cool. That's the attack proof, but the attack was our strength last season. You know, if you get Varane in, okay, you've got a pacey centre-back next to Maguire. Because you've got a pacey centre-back, we can play with a high line. When we play with Maguire and Bailly, we play with a high line. We press higher up the pitch. We actually look better going forward. So not only will we play with a high line and look better going forward with Varane and Maguire, but again, Varane and Maguire, you won't have McFred sitting deep in front of them because Varane's experience, he's got pace. McFred is just Lindelof protection. You won't need McFred. So you could have one DM or you could have Pogba and Fred in the pivot who are a bit more expansive. So a more expansive pivot, a higher line, is more expansive football, better football. Midfield less likely to get dominated. The attack gets more chances and boom. So yeah, I honestly think that Varane would honestly have more impact on this United team than Sancho because you know, we do need a right winger, but we need a centre back more because, you know, a right winger is just, you know, a creative right winger. It gets more chances for a striker. But, you know, if we're playing with a back six of Fred and Lindelof and Maguire, you know, Jadon Sancho isn't going to get much of the ball to do that impact. So, yeah, I do agree that Varane is almost the biggest signing you can make in a sense. I think a CDM would be the best signing. I want Man United to sign Declan Rice for £17 million, says Adam Lallana. I mean, 70 million plus for Declan Rice is a lot of money. Look, would I take it? Yes, we need a CDM, but I think there's better value players out there than Declan Rice. But I would take Declan Rice because we just need a CDM so badly and all of that. Any questions for me, guys? Put them down below in the live chat. Of course, subscribe to Alice Talks Football for daily Manchester United content. If you want to stay up to date for all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, please do subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and all of that. Giving you the latest on Raphael Varane and Declan Rice to Manchester United and all of that. You know, if Camavinga goes to PSG and Pogba leaves, Declan Rice could be the midfielder coming in. Raphael Varane, apparently an agreement is close, but I would take that story with a pinch of salt and all of that. Now, there's a couple of topics I want to talk about, guys, and then we'll address some live chat. So I had some notes written down. So obviously, you know, we talked about the Varane deal close. I think next week there's going to be a big breakthrough in Varane to Manchester United, a big update. I think we'll have a very, very strong I think I'm right now 75% Varane comes to Manchester United. But I think next week I could either be 90% Varane comes to Manchester United or 10% Varane comes to Manchester United. I think, you know, next week we have a big update on Varane. Camavinga would prefer PSG to Manchester United, but Man United is still the most advanced team in the race for Camavinga because PSG do prefer Paul Pogba. So Man United is still leading the race for Camavinga. We're in contact for Camavinga, you know, all of that. Pogba to PSG. PSG, according to L'Equipe, would be willing to pay 50 to 60 million for Paul Pogba, which United would probably accept rather than losing on a free the following year. Samuel Luckhurst and a lot of English journalists have confirmed that Declan Rice is now Manchester United's #1 midfield priority. However, Fabrizio Romano said yesterday and confirmed that Camavinga's our #1 midfield priority. So, you know, they do contradict each other there. We'll talk about James Garner's future. Obviously, pre-season starts in a week's time. I'm sure we'll be seeing James Garner in a Manchester United shirt next week in pre-season, which will be really, really interesting. But, you know, what will be James Garner's future? Will he go out on loan? Will he stay? I think if we fail to get Camavinga and we fail to get a midfielder, I think James Garner could be forced to stay. But I think ideally he does need a loan in the Premier League. Dalot, there's a bit of talk about Diego Dalot's future and all of that. You know, United obviously do want to sell Dalot, but, you know, we're only getting offered loans, so we're only going to get rid of Dalot if we get offered cash. And because we're getting outpriced on Trippier, we might just have to keep Dalot as competition for Wan-Bissaka and all of that. You know, it's the England-Italy final tomorrow. I'm going to give you my lineup for the England-Italy game tomorrow. And obviously, Fred is in the Copa America tonight. So I do want to talk a little bit about England-Italy. I know it's a Manchester United live stream, but I do want to get into some England-Italy news. So everybody, I want you to let me know down below, what is your score prediction for England versus Italy? What's your score prediction? Get them in the live chat. Chelsea leading the race for Camavinga, apparently. I have not read that anywhere, but I know that Chelsea are in touch with Camavinga, and Chelsea would like Camavinga. Mr. Randomizer says, let's hope Bruno picks himself up for this season, because against the top six he wasn't that good, but against smaller clubs he was really, really good. I think, you know, people say Bruno isn't good against the top six. He was good against West Ham and Leicester, that technically they did finish in the top six. He was good against Liverpool in the FA Cup. I think the problem is when Man United play the top six, it's not that it's just Bruno's that's bad. You know, Rashford's been bad in all of those games, and the season before Rashford was really good in the big games. You know, Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, Bruno, Cavani, all of them have been poor in the top six games, because for all the top six games last season, we played Lindelof, Maguire and McFred. And we literally played to keep a clean sheet, where Bruno and the attackers didn't get enough of the ball to do anything. So, in a sense, I defend Bruno for ghosting in those big games, because every attacker ghosted in those big games, not just Bruno, because of the way we set up was so defensive that they couldn't have a good game. So, that's my honest opinion on it. People, let's look at the score predictions. 2-1 England, 1-0 England on penalties. 2-1 Italy, England 2-1, 2-1 England. I'm going 2-1 England. I think that's a lot of people are going with that. It'll be interesting to see the top 5-6 sides will be starting in the Premiership on the front foot and fire. Good comment there. 2-1 England, 2-0 Italy. England lose on penalties. That would be nasty. Brighton are interested in Dan James. Actually, they are. I'm waiting for updates on that. When there's some updates about Dan James to Brighton, I will update you. I think a lot of you guys are agreeing with me with 2-1 to England. Some people saying 2-1 Italy. And all of that, the scenes if England won on penalties. I want a Maguire bullet header to win it. A Maguire bullet header to win it. England 2-1. Diego goes England 3-1. Anything happening with Grealish? I'll talk about my England lineup, but in terms of Grealish to Man United, as much as I'd like it to happen, I don't think Grealish will join Man United. I think it's to do with City. I think there's a chance Grealish joins City after the Euros. 2-1 Italia. This comment says, I think Donny van de Beek is a little bit better than Bruno Fernandes. Well, that's an unpopular opinion. I think maybe it's a box-to-box, yes, but not a 10. Italy 2, England 1. So 2-1s all over the board. And Di Lorenzo news comes from La Stampa via Sport Witness. Napoli only want 20 million for him. Interesting. Winner 1-0, 2-1 Italy. So, yeah, everyone's getting their score predictions down below. Ben White, 50 million makes sense. This is the thing. Ben White's not even playing for England. You know, when we signed Maguire for 80 million, in a weird way, it was off the back of a good tournament. Like, to be fair, Maguire is a 50, 40 million pound player. But, you know, Ben White is England's fifth choice centre back, and you're paying 50 million for him. I just think that's mad. I think that's mad from Arsenal. I think he's a good player, but he's getting benched. You know, honestly, not sure if Maguire scores a header, but I'd like it to be a sure cross. Yeah, I'd love one of the Man United players to be involved in the winning goal. Basuma swap for Dan James. Brighton are interested in swap deal plus cash. I would do that. I would give them Dan James and cash for Basuma. 100%. Thanks for the update, liking the channel. Thanks for the comment. England will win the Italian backline and insoled and can't keep up with England's frontline skills, and pace will make Italy slip up. So, yeah, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the game. So, what would be my lineup going into the game? Obviously, I think Pickford in goal. Look, I don't think Kyle Walker's been amazing, but I thought he was one of our best players versus Denmark. So, Kyle Walker right back. Of course, Luke Shaw left back. He's been fantastic. Stones and Maguire at the back picks itself. I would go with Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice, but honestly, I would have Henderson in that midfield now, because I think you could tell that Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice almost look exhausted. But I'd have Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice because you need that momentum. You know, you don't want to put Bellingham in because he's not played enough, you know, to drop him in on the final. Mount at 10, you know what? I would go with Mount at 10. I would go with Grealish on the left wing. I'd go with Sterling on the right wing, and I'd go with Kane up top. I wouldn't start with Bukayo Saka. I think he's a good player, but look, I would play Sancho over Bukayo Saka. I'd play Sterling on the right and Grealish on the left over Bukayo Saka, and I don't think Foden will be fit. So for me, Grealish, I think, has to play on the left. I think Grealish and Luke Shaw link up perfectly. I think Sterling's form, put him on the right, Kane up top. That's my England lineup, though. Let me know, who would you start for England in the live chat? Let me know down below. Do you think a Pickford mistake could cost England? Well, he only made one mistake so far this tournament, and that was in the last game. I think he's looked really good. You know, Pickford is mistake prone, but you know what? Some players just have a mistake in them. Maguire has a mistake in him. John Stones has a mistake in him. You know, sometimes players have a mistake in them, but yeah, I'm not too worried. I would still start Pickford. Mount goes in the midfield, and that's why Kane drops deep. I agree. I think Mount. This is the thing. Is, you know, when Bruno plays with McFred behind them and we sit really deep, that's when Bruno goes. And Mount is playing as a 10, but because he's playing with Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice behind him as 2 10s, because you're playing Italy, a good team, when, you know, we're not going to be like when we play Ukraine, we're attacking. When we played Denmark, we were more defensive because they were a better team in a semi-final. we're going to have 2 DMs and we're going to set up quite defensively, and it's going to be very, very hard for Mason Mount to get in the game. And that goes back to the Bruno point. People talk about Bruno being bad in Big Six games, but if you talk about the way Man United suffer Big Six games with 2 DMs, very, very negative. It's hard for Bruno to get involved. So it's going to be hard for Mount to get involved in the game, but I think Mount's a quality player. I do rate Mason Mount. I didn't think he was good the other day, but personally, I would still play Mason Mount if you want my honest opinion. Please hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football. Share the video and all of that. Sancho was 19 million euros and 77 million pounds, which for me I think is good money for Sancho. Mount has to start his work on and off the ball is brilliant. I think Mount's got one of the best work rates. Pickford, Kyle Walker, Maguire, Stone, Shaw, Phillips, Rice, Mount, Sterling, Sancho, and Kane. I pretty much agree with that. I would go Grealish on the left, Sterling on the right, but if I didn't, I would go Sancho over Saka on the right wing, because I think Sancho's skill and mobility and technicality and creativeness, could break down that Italy back five. I think Saka had that really good game, obviously, when he came in, was it versus Czech Republic, or was it? Yeah, I think Saka was really good in that one game, and I guess he technically got the assist in the other game, but I should say, the thing about Saka that frustrates me is I think he's been brilliant, and I'm not going to try and criticise Saka. He's been much more impactful than Phil Foden. He's been very, very impressive. But I think Sancho should start with Saka. I think, but Saka kind of hogs the ball a bit. I don't think he knows when to pass. I think he lacks a little bit of player intelligence. There's a lot of times where he could have done that quick 1-2 with Mason Mount, or he could have passed it to Mason Mount, and Mason Mount could have quickly passed it to Kane. I think Saka does lose the ball a bit. And I think, when Italy are good in possession, and when Italy, I believe, will dominate possession, when you have possession, you don't want to lose it or give it away easily, because Italy are very good in possession. So I think I would start Sancho over Saka and all of that. Any updates on Raphael Varane? The situation is, look, Varane, United want Varane. Personal terms is an issue. Varane wants United. Nothing advanced is going to happen until next week at the earliest, when Real Madrid put price on Varane. Agreement is close, but the agreement won't be done until they put a price on Varane. And Real Madrid are not going to put a price on Varane until they've had a discussion with Varane. So that's when Varane comes back on holiday. So I think the Varane news is repetitive. I don't think anything big is going to happen regarding Varane until next week, if you want my honest opinion. I don't think anything big is going to happen till next week, if you want all of that. Werner for Golden Boot 22-23. You know what? You put a laugh emoji at the end of that. But you know what? I actually do rate Timo Werner. I do. I think he had more goals disallowed than allowed last season. If all his disallowed goals were allowed, he'd probably be up there. I think he's had a season to settle in. I think he looks better under Tuchel. I think if Werner sorts out his finishing, he will be a baller. And you know what? People would be shocked, but I wouldn't be surprised if Werner won Golden Boot next season, because he makes all the right runs. He does everything right. He just needs to sort his finishing out. Do I think he will? No. But if he did, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going... Who's going to win Golden Boot next season? Oh, I will do predictions. So when the transfer window's over, or just before the Premier League starts, they will do my Premier League predictions, my Golden Boot prediction, and all of that. But you know what? People laugh at that, but I actually wouldn't be that shocked, to be fair. Would not be that shocked and all of that. Adam Wright says Varane signing is bigger than Sancho. Look at Maguire with a decent centre-back partner next to him for England. Imagine Varane next to him. Exactly. I was kind of saying that earlier. Very, very good point there. Werner's going to smash it next season if Chelsea don't sign a main striker. I don't think Chelsea will be able to get Haaland because we got Sancho, but they might. Chelsea get who they want to get. If Abramovich wants to get Haaland, he'll probably get Haaland. But I could see Werner having a good season. Why can't England start Bellingham or Henderson and Pivots instead of Phillips? I agree. I know Phillips has been all right, but I just think that Henderson and Bellingham would just add a little bit more expansiveness and creativity. I think Mount won't be involved in the game if you have Rice and Phillips sitting deep and all that. Werner is the new Morata. Maybe it's a Chelsea curse. Striker goes to Chelsea, it doesn't know how to finish. Happened to Torres, happened to Morata, happened to Werner and all of that. Who will be the Golden Boot next season? I'm saying Patson Daka will destroy Werner. Imagine, what? Imagine Iheanacho could win the Golden Boot. He did end the Premier League really, really well. And Leicester, their striker does get opportunities. We've seen Jamie Vardy being in Golden Boot races, and I think, it's Iheanacho's turn to take over. You never know. You never know. 14th of July, Haaland will be a Chelsea player. Bold statement, but you know what? Abramovich, Chelsea, they're very, very good in the transfer window. And if Chelsea want Erling Haaland, Chelsea would probably go get Erling Haaland. You know what I mean? But yeah, I am going to end the live stream here because we are approaching the hour mark. So please, guys, Smash that like button and subscribe down below to the channel if you've not subscribed. For daily Manchester United transfer news updates, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football. I do 5 transfer live streams a week minimum, updating you on all the latest news. So if we sign a player, I'll be live to update you. If we're close to signing a player, I'll be live to update you. If there's any news regarding players coming to Manchester United this summer, I will give you all the latest news that's come out from reliable journalists and all the latest news regarding Manchester United signings, ins and outs this transfer window. Obviously, match previews and match reactions will come up when matches start and all of that. So please do subscribe to Alice Talks Football for daily Manchester United content. We have 15,000 subscribers, so big up everyone subscribing, big up everyone on the stream. Smash that like button. Let's hope we get Varane. Let's hope we get Sancho. If I wasn't able to answer any of your questions, please just subscribe, hit bell notifications on, and any questions I didn't answer in this live stream, just comment it in tomorrow's live stream. So I didn't answer any live chats, just put it in tomorrow's live stream and I will try and answer them then. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for watching.